All right, it's time to take a look at the feature premiere number 2, Fielding Overhaul, that came out from SDS today. We've already watched it live. We're going to kind of do the watch back now, break it down. A lot of interesting stuff. Let's see what we've got. Could probably speed back up through that. They should like recut this video every time and put a new legend in.
What's up, everybody?
Definitely not no self-interest in that one. Tim, thank you so much for the 10 months. I appreciate that. No, absolutely not, Dan. You should not be playing the part of the disgruntled SDS stream team.
Feature premiere. Welcome back to those who watched us before, and welcome to our new fans, especially our Xbox fans. We've got 6 full episodes all the way to launch. Episode 1 was last week. We was joined by Kyle Saul. We talked about pitching and hitting. Today's episode is all about fielding. Then next week we're going to talk about ball player. The week after that, franchise. March to October, we still got to talk about next gen and Diamond Dynasty. We are not done. You can watch feature premieres every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
I forgot that
Let's talk about fielding. I'm joined by none other than gameplay director of 23 years holding the studio down, Chris Gill. Chris, please introduce yourself and tell our fans a little bit about you.
You just did. I've been here 23 years. I'm an old man. Thanks for having me.
Man.
I feel like it sometimes. You know, I appreciate you having me. This never gets old, man. I love doing it. I love baseball and I love making a game, and I really enjoy this time of year and talking with you about breaking it down and getting this stuff out to consumers.
Right, and this is just an extension of your playing days, right? Making a baseball game in video game form.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm a baseball guy through and through. I played college baseball at Long Beach State, played with the Reds for about 5 years. Then I came back home and coached a few years in college back at Long Beach, and then scouted with the Reds for a couple years. So yeah, that is my background. Got an opportunity to come work here at Sony in '98. I took advantage of that and been here ever since. So loving it.
All right, so MLB The Show 20, when it comes to defense, outfield play, fielding, infield play, what did we learn, Chris?
We learned tons of stuff, Ramon. I mean, you know, every year we watch streamers play, and we're obviously playing the game as well. So, you know, we have tons of things to do every single year. We have to pick and choose what it is that we want to do. Our priorities this year,
hey, no problem, BMK.
We're mainly fixing a lot of the issues that went out last year. We also knew that we were going to have a lot of newcomers coming in this year with the game being available on the new platforms, the Xbox and such. And so we wanted to really focus on the onboarding part of our game.
All right, so before we...
I always appreciate when they acknowledge, you know, things that went wrong and you know, have an honest critique of them too, and not just say like, oh, that didn't quite work as well. And, you know, sometimes they'll just, if something was really a mess, they'll be like, well, that sucked. Because sometimes it did, you know, and that is part of the process. Unfortunately, that there's like trial and error, and sometimes things don't work. And there was definitely some issues in the field this year, like big time, you know, with locking in the catches and whatnot. So I'm eager to see how they're attacking those issues with these improvements. Yo, what up, Cogs?
Get into onboarding. What was the main focus this year on defense?
So on defense was really just catching the ball in the outfield. I mean, I'm breaking it down, making it as simple as that. We had quite a few issues, and it's not just the outfield, it's infield play as well. We had to go in, take a serious look at how the game was playing and kind of revamp the user control player. So we focused mainly on user control. We wanted to make sure at the end of the day, it was in the user's hands and not the game's fault. So a lot of focus on fly ball catches, playing catches at and around the wall, super important, just running down balls in the outfield.
True.
And really just making it super intuitive and interactive for the user.
Let's talk about onboarding aids and onboarding for new users. Chris, let's talk about these because they're all new for MLB The Show 21, right?
Yeah, a lot of them are new. We've enhanced some of the stuff that's in our game already, but we really wanted to make a strong focus, like I said, for the newcomers to the game. All the new platforms the guys playing that are just going to be for first time going into MLB The Show. So we wanted to make it more intuitive and user friendly. We wanted to ease these guys into.
That's gonna be fun. We're gonna get some Xbox folks that are really gonna do huge parts of the community.
Learn how to play our game, and you know, some of the things in our game, we have different mechanics for different levels, and that kind of lends itself to our new 3 different styles that we play, right? So we have the relax mode, the simulation, and the competitive. And I'll get more into that kind of stuff, but I think it's important that for these new users that are coming in, we give them the ability to learn how to play our game. And so what we did was we created a few new indicators. We're going to default you at the beginner level mode. So let's say you're playing relax mode and you go in, and we're going to start you off with the onboarding. We have a new route to ball indicator. We have a base for play indicator. We have a new catch ball indicator. We have
that base for play is awesome. They're going to show that here in a moment.
Extreme catch indicator at the wall. New Rob home run indicator. Throw accuracy meter's been adjusted. We have a routine fly ball catch indicator that basically just shows you that you've locked into a catch.
And you can turn all of these off. If
I know, you know, for some this probably isn't like the sexiest of the streams that they're gonna do, because it's defense. You know, defense gets kind of the third class. You know, behind hitting all the way up here, pitching, and then where the hell's defense all the way down there? But defense can matter a lot. And you know, one of the things that I think we sometimes forget, at least I do, I don't want to put it on everybody, but I feel confident that a lot of us do this. When we're getting mad about like great shots in the gap not landing, we're forgetting that our outfield is Ken Griffey Jr., Player of the Month, or excuse me, Tops Now, Byron Buxton, and like Willie Mays. And it's like, yeah, of course nothing gets in the gaps. What are you talking about? But it can be really important, right? You know, we make these decisions about like, should I use this guy or this defense guy? You know what I'm really, really looking forward to with these defensive improvements? It's kind of a niche thing for BR. You know how we have the last 2 years, those like mediocre rating, excellent hitting center fielders like Victor Robles and Harrison Bader? They're going to go up a level, especially if they can still hit like way above their numbers. It's this weird trend. It is not just a couple guys either. Jackie Bradley Jr., Byron Buxton before he went and became a diamond, Billy Hamilton. It's a thing. But if it's a thing in 21 plus the defense, now they're an easy pick. Now they're just like an easy pick because you're getting that extra defense too, instead of like your Nelson Cruz or Jordan Alvarez at one of your corner fields, just because they hit so well, which they do, but the defense can be so scary.
If you're not new to the game, if you don't want to use them, they are all optional, right?
I agree, get bent.
Absolutely. So you can go in at any time. We're going to default these on what we think they should be based on what you're playing. And then, yeah, you can go into the option indicator and those things.
It's just talking about how to customize it.
Show you what you're doing.
It's really not a huge thing.
Turned on for you. So if you're a new player, you want to start in beginner mode and choose casual. And we're going to walk you through the game and teach you how to play and teach you all of these mechanics. All right.
I think stuff like that gets completely ignored by everybody because like a newcomer, like a lot of people, I guess for lack of a better phrase, aren't humble enough to do it, and you learn a lot. And I realized that I'm basically calling myself out with this because I started to go through some of the tutorial stuff in Madden to get better in my Madden league because I was absolutely horrendous. I hadn't played with any seriousness in a long time, and I go in this league and I'm just getting pummeled. But then I'm going through like some of the tutorial stuff and learning some of the things, and like there's a lot of information in there that can make you better. So I think this attention to detail on this new tutorial with the newcomers coming in for Xbox, I recommend people look at it. And maybe if you're not as, maybe if you've been playing before but you're not reaching a certain level that you want, maybe check it out. See if you pick up a few things from there. Now, they're not going to be able to talk about things like assessing defenses the way the Madden one was, but they might have some tips in there. So I'm pleased by the fact that they care about onboarding folks, trying to make them better, because baseball games are tough. They really are, especially if you can't hit.
Right, that's a lot of new onboarding and indicators. Gil, let's take a few minutes just to break down all of these new indicators real quick, starting with the track ball indicator.
The track ball indicator, as you can see on the screen right now when you're watching, that's essentially just showing you the route to the ball. So when the ball's hit, the CPU is always going to start you in a direction, and that line is going to be drawn directly to where you need to go run and make the catch. So it's pretty straightforward. You follow the line, you go make the catch. If you deviate off that line, you're going to get a little rumble feedback trying to get you back on the line. So it's nice to have that feedback.
It works for the audio, but I guess we are focused a lot on the video, so speeding it up doesn't make any sense.
My bad. Look, it's obvious that I should be staying on that line. Part of that route to ball indicator is we're going to have, if you get into a situation where there's a dive available, we will have a line toward the end. Look, it's obvious that I should be staying on that line.
That
Part
little
of that
dive
route to ball
spot
indicator is we're going to have, if you get into a situation where there's a dive available.
That's pretty cool. Tells you where the best place to dive is. Got to be a dive god, man. Get some dive gods in the chat there. This is bringing more dive gods into the world, which, sure, we don't like when they happen to us, but we always respect them. Always respect dive gods out here, because you're putting it all on the line when you're a dive god. Steve-O, thank you so much for the 36 months. I appreciate that. So, you know, you tip the cap and you move on. You shut your mouth if you get dive godded on, okay? Shut it. Appreciate it, because dive gods are badasses.
Well, we will have a line toward the end of that when you need to jump. So that's when you're going to need to hit R2 to dive. It's pretty straightforward, and you'll see that too in these videos that we're showing you. That is going to be defaulted on in a casual mode. Base for play is another one that we're going to default on. This is really cool. Essentially, it's just a coach.
This one's great. This one's great, and I truly believe that plenty of us could stand to keep this one on. We all make some stupid decisions at times on bases to throw to. Getting cute or not hitting the cutoff. But it's nice to know. And this can happen more so against the computer, because they're always like looking for the for any sort of missed throw that you make to get that extra base. But I've gotten lazy at times. I think it's going to be defaulted for newer players if you pick like the casual, but I believe that you'll be able to turn it on even in competitive. I don't know that there'd be any reason that you couldn't turn it on.
Where to throw the ball. So instead of having auto throwing on, which we did before with beginners, we're trying to teach you how to play the game. So we're showing you the icons of what base to throw to, and then along with the icon, the associated base. So if
I haven't decided yet, babe. I might get this game. It's like,
you're gonna see third
this is the
base,
review process to see like,
and the third thing that
am
we're
I
defaulting
interested?
on for casual is the trackball indicator. So we have 3 different trackball indicators.
I'm firmly
and the
on
one
the
we're going to
fence.
default on is basically the stationary one. So it's going to show you exactly where you need to run to go catch a fly ball. It's not going to drift.
that's good. That's good. Obviously, that was a problem.
And it's not going to track. So you'll know exactly where to go. So those are the by default, we're going to have those on. And then we'll obviously have the ribbons that come off the wall. So when you hit the ball off the wall, we're going to display those ribbons.
Raise your hand if you follow the ball meter to somewhere where the ball wasn't and you got smoked. Absolutely. All I did was follow it. Yo, Smart Alex, I appreciate that. I love release night. I'm already looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
The tag up catch indicator is pretty straightforward. What we did with that this year is we added more logic. So
this is cool
as you
too.
can see there in the videos, you could see we put it in a position where you're going to want to get behind the ball. So
how many times have you gotten a real nonchalant catch that you would have wanted to put together a nice throw for because of a tag up, and you're like, hello, let's just not give up the free base for no reason? I love this. This is huge.
It comes up situationally. Obviously, when guys are tagging up and guys are trying to
no
score from third or
CLG,
from second,
absolutely not.
we're going to throw that indicator up and put you in better positions. Now, Ramon, the coolest thing about this is we added tons of animations for tag up catches. People are going to love it. No matter what direction you come in at that tag ball indicator, we're going to pull you in and give you a nice catch that gives you a running start so you can get the most out of your throwing.
You won't throw them out every time, but you can make competitive throws. That's the point.
We've talked about a lot of the indicators. One of my favorite new ones, and you probably saw it in the first Coach and Tatis video, the new Rob home run and catch at the wall indicator. Chris, explain to us how that works.
I'm having so much fun just testing Rob home runs in the game. It's a blast. It's so much different than it was last year. And what I really love about it, let me explain, because I had a couple indicators in here. We have an extreme catch indicator.
Fielding's going to be the meta.
We have a jump indicator. Now, those are 2 different things.
People are only going to draft for fielding, Cogs. That's it.
You're specifically talking about robbing home runs. What's really cool now is we have 3 yellow arrows, a little bit more intuitive than what we had last year. And you see them now on the screen. You can see those as we're running those plays. They are timed to change to the green color each tick at a time. So when it gets to the 3rd green arrow, then you know it's time to jump. But the cool thing is we did a lot of logic enhancements with robbing home runs, and we took our animations and allowed you to jump into the animation at different times. Because Ramon, like, when you're playing, there's different timings of robbing home runs. It's not always the same every single time.
Oh, hey, Shar.
So it's really important that we had to go in there and make sure
They're both
those
trying to
home run
get in.
catches were timed perfectly for when you're hitting that button. So whether you're hitting it a little early or a little bit late, you have to hit it right after that last green arrow. And the other really cool thing about it is this year,
Charlotte's
and you
here.
probably didn't even know this, the glove reaches over
awesome.
the wall now. So we got new animations, we adjusted them. So instead of going straight up, the arm.
First off, his arm is over, which is what they're showing. But I think this is really clean. The little StatCast box there. Look at that route efficiency. In a best
will
ball,
now reach over the wall and rob.
I'd take
home runs
Heaney
when
still.
applicable,
Just
right?
better
That's a
health,
great
which
change.
is weird to say about
super
him.
Stoked about that.
Over
we got a couple
anybody,
more
but
indicators.
over Paxton,
Other than
yeah.
those, we have the extreme catch indicator that a lot of the guys that have
What'd you
played
think,
this
Shar?
game before are used
I'd already
to it,
seen this
where
3 weeks
we had
ago.
those
Okay, it
sinking
was
line drives
old
would
news to
come
me,
on.
guys,
It
and I already
adds
knew about
an
Grady's.
element of suspense in the game. Should I go for it? Should I not? It's a high risk, high reward type
All
play.
right.
And those essentially happen at the wall. So if
There's
I'm
Charlotte's
running and I'm
report.
trying to chase a
She's
ball
already
down
seen
in the
this.
gap or over my head, and I see that red indicator come on at the wall, well, I have to make a decision then, right? Just like a real player does.
Sorry, I talked over this a little bit. So this is like the red one that we currently see in front of us on plays coming in. They're just expanding it out to the wall plays to tell you that you're not necessarily going to get it even if you get to it, which is fair. That way you have an expectation. You got a mediocre to shitty fielder, you might not get it. You got a great fielder and you're taking the right track, you should get it.
As would come on, it adds an element of suspense in the game. Should I go
Or
for
you-
it?
or
Should I
you
not?
can
It's a
lay
high
up.
risk, high reward type play. And those essentially happen at the wall. So if I'm running and I'm trying to chase a ball down in the gap or over my head and I see that red indicator come on at the wall, well, I have to make a decision then, right? Just like a real player does. I mean, I have to either try to go for it or I'm going to play that ball off the wall. And so it's really cool to see that and you having to make those
Shar
decisions.
is a cash grab. It's
when you're in the
unbelievable.
game.
And that's an extension of a feature that we introduced last year, where last year the extreme catch indicator only showed up on those sinking line drives. Now you're saying it's going to show up at the wall as well?
It is, yeah. And we're just repurposing it. We're putting it there, and we're looking at the high risk, high reward type play. And if you go for
like
it, it's
it.
one of those. It's those animations where you're going to crash into the wall.
Awesome.
Yes, she does,
That's
Spaz.
awesome.
Yeah,
Shar
we'll get into
absolutely
more of
runs
those
the
catches
stream.
here in a little bit.
Hey,
All right, so let's talk
What are you
about
doing?
improvements
Don't
to
worry about
outfield
it.
play. And when we say improvements, is it more accurate to say there has been a complete fielding overhaul?
Yeah, there's been a complete fielding overhaul, and that started at the lower
huge.
level. So without getting into too much detail about the things that we worked on code-wise, let's just talk about the things that we did that make the game more fun to play. I'm going to bring this up first, and it doesn't sound super exciting. If I said to you, Ramon, that strafing was really exciting to me,
Strafing.
would you think that is something that's fun?
I think that's going to be very exciting for anybody that played the game last year and said, oh man, this ball hit the wall and it shot out and I'm running around
Chasing
and I
after
can't
it.
catch it. Or I'm really scared
Some
what's
brutal
gonna happen
chase
if this ball
downs.
hits the wall and I don't catch it on this first
They
hop.
drive me
So yeah,
nuts.
let's talk about strafing and off-wall setup.
This is really important, and I want to explain why.
I agree,
We
Nick.
redid
Give me
the infield
Buxton all
pop-up
day.
strafing.
Uncle
So if
Byron
your
in the
infielder's
cut.
camped under a ball, and we redid the outfield pop-up strafing. So if he's camped under a ball and you start moving your guy around, we basically got a more athletic, more fluid, able to transition into catches. The logic changed, the animations changed, and they smoothly transition back and forth. So it becomes more efficient. And that, along with all the catches that we added, make it for really smooth gameplay. That's cool. But the coolest thing about strafing is what we did with playing the
They
ball
touch
off
on
the
the new
wall.
fly ball indicator.
Ramon, do you remember, like,
What do you mean?
if you would go set up at the wall, you had to be perfect, and if you weren't
Perfect.
perfect, if you weren't perfect, you were kind of bad things were gonna happen.
Yeah, it was no man's land where the ball hits and it squirts and your guy's just running around like crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Those were killer.
So what we did is we had to figure out a way to let the user, adjust in small increments. If I needed to move to the right, left, up, back, right? Because when you go let off the stick and you're playing the ball off the wall, you're trying to line up with those ribbons that we're displaying. And if you're off just like 5-10 feet to the right or left, and then you move the stick, the guy would just take off running. And now you're literally, it's like a circus. You're trying to run that ball down somehow and catch it. Okay, so this year it's different. We added strafing to that position.
Oh, yeah, I
So
think
when
they
go
still
set up
have
at
that.
the wall, I can move up, back, right, left, and we have catches playing off the wall.
I think I've seen that
hundreds
in this
of catches
stream
that we did. And did I tell you already that we got hundreds
thing.
and hundreds and hundreds of new animations, and literally the majority of them are catches.
Assuming it's
That's awesome. And
not
what's
a figment
really
of my imagination.
important that you mentioned, the strafing, this is done
I'm strafing
for you.
all day.
And once you get close enough to the wall, he's going to break down and he's going to strafe for you. And as you're moving that stick left to
I didn't
right,
either, Joey.
they're going to be moving laterally. And like you said last year, if that ball hits the wall and squirted out, he just takes off running full speed.
Yeah.
Now you basically have an outfielder who's broken down and you can strafe
ready
to
to
the
go.
left and to the right like you talked about.
Yeah, it just makes something clear. You said it's happening for you. Well, the CPU's not doing it for you. You have
I think
to
what
do
Ramon,
it. But
what
when
Ramon
you move
meant,
the stick,
what
we're
Ramon
making
meant is that you don't have to press a special button with it. He's saying, like, if you're there and you're moving the stick in a way to try to get set up, it's strafing for you. You don't L1 and stick to strafe, is what he was trying to say. I understand why Chris is, I guess, like, clarifying, but I'm trying to think of, like, what misunderstanding could be had that needs to be clarified there. Maybe some people would hear what Ramon said and think like they're gonna take me to the wall, like the computer's gonna take me to the wall. I don't know. I don't think so. This is all right though.
assumption that you just want to move a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, just to line up with that ball,
Yeah.
right? And so obviously, if you don't line up anywhere near where that ball is going to come off, then you're not going to strafe. You're going to run, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't apply in those situations. So yeah, you are strafing on your own. You're going to run. You don't line up anywhere near where that ball is going to come off, then you're not going to strafe. You're going to run, but it doesn't matter.
Trey Mancini is 19 for 34 in the first inning, and they haven't scored. That seems weird. How did he get 34 at-bats and they didn't even score once? And there's no outs in the inning. Where are all those runners going? What's happening? Unbelievable. I would take Nathan Eovaldi out, though. He's going through the lineup for the 35th time. He's struggling out there, but he has only had 34 pitches, so I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Because it doesn't apply. In this
Game is broken,
yeah,
cash grab.
You are strafing on your own.
Roster update.
That's awesome. So we've talked about off-wall setup and strafing. Now let's get into off-wall catches, which is different. It's not a setup. Now let's talk about off-the-wall catches. What changes went in this year to make off-wall catches better and more efficient for the end user?
Yeah, so there's two different types of catches. So if you want to look at it this way, you're either running toward the wall, when the
infinity
ball comes off
currently,
the wall,
Nick.
or you're set up
Infinity
and
whip.
you're either strafing or you're set up perfectly and you're exactly where you want to be. Okay, so there's a lot that goes into this. All the animations that we captured to facilitate both of those situations. Let's start with running. If the ball's just smoked and I'm running back as fast as I can to go catch that ball, it hits off the wall. So no matter what angle, let's just say I'm playing in a place like San Francisco where you got some weird angles, hard brick up there, and the ball can ricochet off at a weird angle. We have every direction that you could possibly come at the ball, going back toward the wall, every direction catch, every height, running and stationary catch.
Newbie
right?
R
So
mode
here's
called
what's
the
cool.
never-ending
In all the
first
catches
inning.
that we did, we made sure that the catch is going to explain to the user what he did right or wrong. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Probably not fully. So let me explain. So what I'm saying is, if I line up with that catch, we're
Why
going
does he go in on him like that? Did you understand that? Yeah. No, you didn't.
and stationary catch, right? So here's what's cool. In all the catches that we did, we made sure that the catch is going to explain to the user what he did right or wrong. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not fully, so let me explain. So what I'm saying is, if I don't line up with that catch, we're going to play an animation that shows you weren't lined up with the catch, right? So if I'm running toward a ball that's coming off the wall and it's not near me, we're going to show the guy reach out and try to catch it. We call those our phantom catches. So we're basically telling you, you took a bad route to that ball. You couldn't catch it. The cool thing is, if you get anywhere near where that ball is, you're going to play a catch. That's how many catches we have. So you literally would have to be like 20 feet away from the ball for one of those phantoms to play, right? Or it's just unreachable. So running toward the wall, we have all those heights. all to the right, to the left, and then from the stationary position, like if you were strafing or set up at the wall, we have all the animations that you need to go get the ball. So fundamentally, when you're playing a ball off the wall, you always want to go get the ball if you can. Our animations will take you to the ball instead of, I don't know if you remember, like just playing the game in the years past, sometimes those bounces, you'd be sitting there waiting for it. You're like, come on, come on. Now we'll go get it, right? So the player will go get the ball, and that makes it really efficient. Allows you to get the ball, get it to the
227 pitches for Flaherty, unbelievable.
The other cool thing is, if you set up too close to the wall, we have eat-up animation. So if you get too close to the wall, those eat-up animations will make you either bobble the ball or take longer to play. So it's really important that you put yourself in good position.
Yeah, make good decisions.
Okay, and that's.
And you know, they're always trying to bring a further importance to defense as much as they can, right? It's never going to be three facets of the game equally distributed: hitting, pitching, defense. No chance. No chance. But for so long, on like a pie chart, defense's slice was like barely on there. It was like a Pac-Man, basically. And the Pac-Man was the hitting. The open mouth was the pitching, and a small piece of that was the defense. So they're trying to balance that a bit more, and I think with pinpoint pitching and these defensive upgrades, we're getting more of the pie back. You still got to be able to hit, and that's fine. I don't need it to be 50-50. Hitting is inherently easier in a video game than it is in actual baseball, so it can't be perfectly balanced. They would have to make the game like so difficult that such a small percentage, and we don't want every game to be 3-1 anyway, right? Like, I'm not a great hitter, but I got to be able to go off for like 10 runs sometimes. Jeez, you know, imagine if they made it so hard that that every game was like 4-2 or lower. Be a little too much.
And that elaborates you picking up the ball after you miss it, right?
Jonathan, thank you for the follow.
Animation let you know, hey, you took a bad route, the guy reaches, and that's to give you information that you did something wrong, and then picking up the ball after you miss it.
Yeah, well, picking up the ball
GM
after you miss it.
to fire this manager to allow Flaherty to throw 227 pitches.
Or let's say I'm trying to rob a home run and it bounces off my glove and it goes down at my feet. I think a lot of people that have played our game know that we've had some issues in the past of just picking up the ball. And all that does is allow the base runner to take an extra base, right? He's gaining steps as you're sitting there trying to figure out how to pick up the ball and you're running your guy around. Well, I want to make sure everybody understands how much work we put into this. It seems very simple, straightforward that you'd be able to fix something like that, but it took a lot of work. And so part of this overhaul of fielding that we did, that's a big part of it. And so picking up that ball efficiently after you make a miss or after you miss the ball.
I like explaining that, you know, some things are a bit of an easier fix than others, right? There's different levels. And when something has like a difficult fix, it's like, yeah, get into the weeds on it a little bit. Let us understand more that, you know, it's a lot that goes into it. Yo, why is Barrios throwing 83 in the first already? I think he might be injured. Can we get somebody out, please?
Makes the game more realistic, and it makes it feel like, you know, it's on
He's
you.
only it's only 10 pitches in, too. Yeah, he's hurt. 83 mile an hour fastball.
Outfield
Get out of
play.
here.
So much work has been done already. We've talked about so much. We've really broken down off-wall setup. We've broken down off-wall catches. Now let's talk about catching the ball at the wall, rob home run catches, and those jump catches at the wall where you can still make a spectacular play even if it might not be a home run. So, Gil, what's been done to that area of the game for MLB The Show 21?
Yeah, so we wanted to go into the motion capture studio and make sure that we covered all areas around the player when he's standing at the wall. You know, Ramon, like when you were playing in my office, we've done this a few times, you get so frustrated when that ball would just bounce like 5 feet to your right or to your left.
Or off
and
your
you'd always
face.
say, come on, can we get more catches for this, please?
Yep.
You would. So I had to listen to Ramon, or else, you know, he's bigger than me, so I had to make sure that I got those catches. No, but on all seriousness,
Yu Darvish throwing 86 in the first. Cooked. This is bad news, y'all. Both these guys are hurt. Throwing 86 and 83 in the first inning. That's a GG. Both. Toast.
seriousnness, we did.
Greatest
We went
Sizemore
in and we
trending,
looked
that's
at that
awesome.
situation specifically where
Yeah, I bet
arrows
he's
might
bouncing.
come up on the screen to show you that you either going to have to jump, but if they don't, and you
Fuzzy
see
got
the
to be
ball
going
marker
wild.
that's just under that height, just above your head where you know you're gonna have to reach up and catch it. We made sure we got catches not only straight above, which is all we had pretty much last year. We have to the right, to the left. We have 1 step to the right, 1 step to the left, 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left. So we're covering this range at all heights, from reaching up to all the way down by your waist, of catching all those balls. So when the ball comes down, instead of that ball just boinking off the wall and your player really not animating at all, and you're wondering why didn't he try to make that catch, you don't have to be exactly perfect when you line up at the fence.
That's awesome. And we've already discussed the new wall indicators that are at the wall now too to help. And again, everything that the design team's always trying to do is give you the information you need to be able to succeed and make the right play. So when the right play doesn't happen, hopefully it's on you and not us. So let's talk about another huge area of Z-axis catches. First of all, what in the heck is an
off Z-axis? Get off Z-axis.
Off Z-axis catch, and how many of them did we add, and what does this bring to the game?
This is probably one of my favorite things in the game, and I know I've said that already, but I like a lot of it because I'm so happy with the way that the game's playing this year. The off Z-axis catches are basically a fancy way of saying that we have catches that will come off the line that you're running in. So the direction that you're running in, if you're running too steep for a ball or too shallow for a ball, will come off of that angle and make a catch for you. So I think it's important to understand that not everybody is perfect when they're trying to run down a ball in the gap or down the line. Yeah, I know better. I know better. We created that route to ball just for you, man. You're gonna be all over that thing. Trust me. Yeah, well, no, I mean it's a good point. The route to ball indicator is actually, like I said before, it's like a teaching tool. And so what we did with these off Z-axis catches, and again, we got hundreds of catches, because when I say hundreds of catches, you guys got to realize that we're getting catches at all heights and at all angles and directions. So we have to be able to facilitate that. We don't move the ball to your glove. We literally have to have enough catches to facilitate wherever that ball is physically. Some of the videos that you're going to see as this is running through, you're going to see the guys coming off of their line that they're running. Nice. And what ends up happening is situationally, it allows you to play behind the ball.
You can definitely make moves here with good outfielders, and that's what I'm really liking. Because you know, if you roster those better outfielders, they're going to make better plays on this. I imagine like reaction and stuff plays in fielding plays a role into the animations that you can get making these moves.
A little bit more. So when I say situationally, like, you know, Ramon, if you have toward the end of the game and you're trying to play it safe and you're trying to not give up any doubles, right? Because the guy at the plate might beat the tying run. So you want to play those safer and you want to play it deeper. If I'm running too deep in years past, you're just going to run right past the ball. This year he'll cut off that angle and he'll catch the ball.
They've already been clear about that. By the way, that's isn't this the new fly ball indicator thing that you can get, that little strip there?
You're going to learn how to play this game a little bit different now, and these types of catches are going to help facilitate those types of situations.
There it is. So we've talked about
I went too far.
It's one ball. So essentially, so you want to play those safer and you want to play it deeper. If I'm running too deep in years past, you're just going to run right past the ball. This year he'll cut off that angle.
This little strip here instead of the ball indicator.
And he'll catch the ball. So essentially, we want you to run straight at the ball and have the best route ever. But if you are slightly off, we have catches that come off that angle. And it works really well for tag-up catches as well. It's one of those things, you're going to learn how to play this game a little bit different now. And these types of catches are going to help facilitate those types of situations.
Good.
There it is. So we've talked a lot about outfield.
You know, there's definitely not as much to assess in this as far as I see, because, like, it just kind of is, right? When we were talking about the pinpoint pitching, you're deciding if you want to even use it or not. With this is defense. This is things that are fundamentally going to be in the game. And, I mean, there's nothing to not be excited about here. We just have to see how it plays out with regards to what they're saying versus in practice. So I'm expecting improvements for sure. You know, hopefully it all comes through and works as it's supposed to. But it's just a lot of exciting stuff for sure. That's going to tighten up defense, make you want to use better defenders out there, and really could create some fun plays too with like robbing home runs and cool throwouts when guys try to go for an extra base.
play. Outfield catches at the wall, off the wall, setup catches, strafing, robbing home runs. We've covered almost everything, but we haven't talked a lot about infield play. What about infield plays where I run by the ball on a routine play?
We talked about the off-Z-axis catches, and this play might sound simple, but the little dribblers out in front of the plate are a problem play. Part of that is because of the point of view that you're playing in, and the camera view that you're playing in. It's hard to know when your pitcher breaks off the mound the angle that he's taken to some of those dribblers. And a lot of times I've seen people, and I've done it myself, where you run just right by the ball. Those off-Z-axis catches now are going to pull you off of that line and into the ball to make the play. So the cool thing is, now that we have the route to ball indicator, you can see exactly where you should be running. With the off-Z-axis catches, you're going to make the catch no matter what, as long as you're within reason of where you're attacking that ball. Okay. And so you won't be frustrating anymore for a lot of those players trying to make those simple plays. Elaborating on that a little bit more, those off-Z-axis catches are happening with infielders across the board. So on any ground ball that I'm taking too steep of a route, so if I'm going in the hole or if I'm going up the middle, I'm taking not a direct route to the ball, then we're going to pull you and make catches. And like I said, we have all different heights for all of those catches. So if I'm reaching all the way down for a low ground ball or a chopper mid or a high one, we'll come off that Z-axis and make those catches. So it really helps for a more efficient infield play, and it really helps, especially the newcomers to the game, feeling more comfortable and making it more accessible.
Dig it.
What about bloopers over the infield? Have we fixed that?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that's another good one, Ramon. I'm glad you brought that up. That was always really like frustrating for me. We always had problems making catches over the infielder's head. So specifically, like,
this is like a new fielding indicator.
The middle infielders, when they're going
I imagine that if you're anywhere in the strip, you should lock into some sort of animation, is what I'm suggesting, or what I'm believing that to be.
Little bloopers or Texas leaguers, and they're trying to go back and make those catches. We just didn't have enough catches to facilitate.
Giving you a range to approach it.
Hopefully you're seeing them as you watch during those videos, that we have a couple of examples of Tatis going back and making some really nice catches, and it just kind of demonstrates the new catches we have for the over-the-shoulder catch on bloopers. And a lot of people complain also about weak contact getting hits. A lot of those hits are falling because we didn't have enough catches to play. But this year, that's different. So I think those numbers are going to come down a little bit on the weak contact. That'll make you happy, Ramon.
All right, we've talked a lot about fielding, but let's jump around a little bit and talk about some other new features that, might not get a lot of love. I remember you telling me a few weeks ago that we did some things with catcher pop time. What's been done there?
Yeah, so the catcher pop time is super cool. We always talk about making sure that defense matters, and the catcher specifically,
those are the only types of hits you get.
Do more with. There's a
there goes my offense.
Pop time that's tracked. You can look it up online, and the catcher's pop time essentially is the time that the catcher catches the ball to the time that the middle infielder catches it down at second base. A good pop time for an MLB catcher is anything under 2 seconds. What you try to do when you're scouting players and teams and stuff like that is you try to look at the time that it takes for the pitcher to, out of the stretch, get the ball from the start of his delivery to the ball gets to home plate. And then you look at the catcher pop time, you add those together, and then you can tell if I should be stealing or not. I know that's a lot of information. The people in our game aren't going to be doing all this math. But what it does tell you in our game is the catchers that have the better pop times on average are going to be quicker. So they're going to have quicker feet, quicker hands, quicker exchange, and they're going to get the ball down to second base. Now, arm strength for the catcher matters as well, and that will actually lift some of those catchers up a little bit on that scale. But for the most part, it's feet and hands and exchange. And so, yeah, we have those stats from the Major League catchers, and they are in the game this year. So super excited about that.
That's the new change to catcher pop times. I'm sure
that's really cool, by the way. I love that. Anything that you can do to help slow down the bases. We all have run into guys who build a speed game, and it's part of the game, though. I will say, I think people complain a little bit too much about it. Like it's a way to win the game. It's cheesy when it's broken and you can't possibly stop it. But as a strategy, like some of y'all would have cried your faces off about old school KC and St. Louis teams that stole a bunch. I have a feeling some of y'all would have really hated watching Ricky Henderson play. Oh, he's stealing again? Come on, you stole last inning, dude. The only time that bunting and stealing and like using speed is a problem is if there are exploits in the game that make it impossible. That goes for anything, a cheese play in Madden, things like that. But just the very nature of having a Punch and Judy type of team, that's just and bunting and stealing and whatnot. That's just a strategy type. Use a different catcher. You know, I'm sorry. That's one of the complaints that I'm sometimes like, okay, I don't know what your beef is. You don't like playing against it because it's hard? Yeah, it's pretty annoying. It does its job, but they're trying to win. I can't believe somebody's stealing in March. When did stolen bases get turned off? What the fuck? Like, it's not uber sweaty to steal a base any more than it is. Quit fucking hitting home runs, dude. You keep scoring runs against me. It's like, okay. Anyway.
Everybody's going to be looking forward to. What's also changed is the throw accuracy meter. There's been a few changes there, right?
This is interesting.
Yeah. We made some adjustments to the throw accuracy meter. Nothing's really changed as far as the mechanics go and the usability of it. All we did essentially was take the wild throws that are on each end of the throw accuracy meter and we brought them in with the offline throws. The green section of the throw accuracy meter is not going to change. That's still going to scale based on the throw accuracy attribute of that fielder. But what is going to change now is that if you miss the green, it's going to be a little bit more intense. And because the throw accuracy meter is a more competitive gameplay mechanic, we
Why are you
wanted
throwing
to throw
curveballs in the dirt in March,
more
bro?
nervousness when you're trying to do it, where if I miss that green, I have a chance of throwing the ball away. So we put the wild throws in with the offline. We changed the colors that were used to be yellow and red. We put them together and made like a light orangish color. Ramon, you know this. No one ever hit the red anyway.
Nobody ever hit the red. Yeah, like we're watching thousands of streams, looking at the data. Nobody ever hit the red. So this is a wonderful change.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so anything else? We've talked about a lot. Let's button this up, Gil. Anything else you want to mention to everyone?
Well, there was one thing that I was just thought about. Actually, I had it written down here, and it was we resolved the issue online gameplay where you could do manual user cuts. So what that means is when you use the L2 button to cut the ball off in midair, you were never able to do that online before. I'm not sure a lot of people knew about that, but we were able to resolve that issue. And so this year we will have cutting the ball off online.
Well, that's great. I'm glad we finally fixed that. So
imagine pitching Chapman in March, bro. Why aren't you throwing freaking... He's not in the game anymore. I was going to say Gaylord Perry. I was trying to think of like a veteran or a old-time legend card that's like super easy to hit. But yeah. Why aren't you throwing Mike Scott, dude? Float some splitters in there for me to hit home runs, bro. And why'd you get a double on that? Just take a single and be happy that I let you get a hit. It's March, bro.
Outfield catches. What's been done in the infield, balls at the wall, new animation. There's over 1,000 new gameplay.
So much good stuff
in MLB The Show 21. We've covered so
again
much,
all sorts of stuff that's gonna
I think we should
just improve.
Roll the video.
Oh.
Grady Sizemore joins the legend roster. Fuzzy,
Let's
you
go.
can finally stop sending me text messages. Your guy, the Cleveland stud, joins the roster. Last week was Alfonso Soriano. This week was Grady Sizemore. We've
another
got way more legends to reveal.
Dub.
I want to thank Game.
Another fat dub on the legend reveal with Grady Sizemore. It's going to be really nice with him. Obviously, it's going to be focused on Cleveland. He really had an unfortunate career with the way it turned out. Injuries ravaged him and really took him out of the game after age 25, which is so early. Like, that is so freaking early for him to be out of the game at that point, and or ineffective from that point forward. He wasn't out of the game, but he labored through the next 419 games, just under league average, after being one of the best in the league for his prime there. If you really lock in on the prime, it's there. 05 to 08. Sizemore, one of the best outfielders in the game. 5 tools with everything. You know, his average was starting to come down, but 281 in nearly 3,000 plate appearances, that's big. So he's got that hit tool, the power, the speed, the defense. It's all there, man. He was so good. He and Curtis Granderson, my favorite player, were just neck and neck, and then the injuries took over, and it really sucked. It really sucked. Look at that. Top WAR in that time among outfielders by a pretty good margin. Like, he's got Beltran covered. And then he is 4th overall. I mean, this was a prime player, y'all. This is not some, you know, one-hit wonder type. 4 brilliant seasons as one of the best in the game. And no reason not to believe that there was going to be quite a bit more. Maybe not that same level. That's kind of his prime, and then you would expect to kind of decline from there. But still remain very, very strong for like another 4 to 5 years. So obviously we'll get this as a signature or a prime. I think it fits as a prime. And I like that better anyway. Listen, I love the signature design that they do. I think that's very cool. But I like getting different cards from Topps in there. And so they can put a Topps with the little prime thing around it for this era right here. And it'll be an easy Uber Diamond. They can maybe throw like a little silver action on this. Let's see what his splits were. This could be like a little BR God. One of those, you know, in the vein of so many that we've played with before. Like, I mean, basically Jock Peterson's going to be the easiest name to call out for that because he is left-handed. Got a little bit more speed, although he was only 13 for 21. But just one of those cards that, you know, could easily play over its expectations. And that's probably it. I'm not sure. Unless they really do go back to a previous era when they would make commons and bronzes of premium players. If they go back to that era, then obviously they have something with that in here on another team. But if not, then probably all we're getting is the 2 cards there. But it'll be great. Why is Char on BREF? Because, well, first off, I pay for their site, so I shouldn't have any ads. But apparently there would still be one there, and so with ad block, it puts I put like some pictures, like 9 pictures of my own in there. And the reason I did is I was like, I shouldn't be seeing an ad. I pay for their thing, or else there'd be ads everywhere. So that's why I thought it would be funny to have these pictures. So yeah, Grady Sizemore is a big win. I'm really excited about that between Soriano and Sizemore. I mean, this is the era that we want. Someone in my chat mentioned it. They're nailing it. They're absolutely nailing the era that so many of us want. I still want some old time guys. I still want some super old guys that I only know of by name. That's still cool to throw those in. But if you're doing like a pie chart, divvying up of the years, I want that biggest piece of the pie to really be 90s and 2000s. And like over maybe 50%, maybe over. You can include 80s for me, but I understand that I'm older in the MLB The Show community, so I would obviously put 80s in there as well. But that era that we know. It's still cool to learn about older guys, and I still want like Sandy Koufax really badly. Joe DiMaggio would be cool. Hank Greenberg. Gord, you mentioned that you always love him. Get Nomo in there. Yeah, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I mean, this is where you want to be. This is where you want to be with things. And you throw in those past guys nicely. Like, again, because I think I don't know which cards, but like I know some of this stuff comes with, they buy into like a license from a company. So not only do they get the big dog that they want, say, for example, Babe Ruth, but like all these other 20 players come, well, you might as well use them, even if they are like older guys. Like, they didn't really go into Robin Roberts this year or anything. But, like, Robin Roberts was a freaking G. Just because he doesn't necessarily translate perfectly to MLB The Show doesn't mean he wasn't a badass. And if Pinpoint makes curveballs better and they got Robin Roberts again, maybe he becomes more playable too. Guys have ebbs and flows based on how the game plays. I was mentioning earlier Mike Scott as like a joke player this year. Remember when he was a god in the game? Like, this year you're like, what are you using Mike Scott for? Did you lose a bet? Before it was like, you're using Mike Scott for like the 40th start in a row? Come on, man. He was like Kluber. Because splitters were everything. So guys have ebbs and flows into the based on how the game plays, I should say. Orlando Cepeda is still in the game. He was in this year. There's a big San Francisco one of him. So yeah, I mean, that's just 2 legends so far. That's defense, pitching, and what was it? It was just pitching in the first one, wasn't it? So pitching, fielding, couple legends. I'm excited, man. I can't wait. I know we still gotta wait just over a month or just under a month. But man, I'm getting juiced. I'm really getting juiced, man. Anyway, that'll do it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, we watch these feature premieres live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Spore every week. Gonna do all 6 of them. So we got 4 more coming. Come through, watch them with us. We'll do the review. But if not, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much.